And this first question will go to Scott. What is your opinion regarding First Amendment rights for students in public schools?
Actually, and I'll clarify that the teams will, among themselves, decide who will answer the question, and you'll have 3 minutes to answer that question.
Sure. I think of myself as a strong supporter of students' First Amendment rights. I learned my first case site in 1988 when I was 15, West Virginia Board of Education, 1943. It's the one that says you have the right not to do the pledge. And I'd done some reading about it for a social studies project, and a friend whose religion was Jainism, a non-theistic religion, was troubled by the under God part. So one day, he wasn't going to stand up when the pledge was done. Our teacher, who was a Korean War veteran, was extremely upset. I sat down with Neil. I said, West Virginia Board of Education versus Barnett, 1943. He has the right to sit down. Teacher backed off quite angrily. I don't know, maybe that's why I never became a physicist, or it could be my utter lack of talent in physics. Either way. But I thought the law is powerful in protecting rights, speech and religious alike. And in a way, most religious rights overlap with speech rights, because it's about expression, it's about belief, it's about faith. I would agree with my other panelists at the debate on a great many things. So for example, every now and then you hear something like, write at school about someone you admire, and some student will be disallowed to write about Jesus. I think I've heard that in a news report. I would strongly support the right to do that. My 8-year-old's a big fan of Bernie Sanders, and if he wanted to write about Bernie, that's okay. And if someone wants to write about a different socialist Jew who expressed a great deal about the poor and nothing at all about being gay, they have a right to do that. So I would strongly support the right to express your religion in any context in which you can make it clear it's your expression, and religion cannot be disfavored. If you can speak on any topic you favor, if you can put whatever you want on your locker, political or social or cultural, if I can have a picture of Justin Bieber or Donald Trump on my locker, I can have a picture of Jesus too. So I'm strongly in favor of those kinds of rights. The only thing that I think goes over the line, and this is the line the Supreme Court's drawn, including by Justice Kennedy, Justice O'Connor, some others, folks who may be to the left of some here, but not the left of American politics, is that where the speech is reasonably viewed as endorsed by the school, so a prayer that is put on stage as sponsored by the school, that's where it crosses the line, because the government shouldn't be endorsing any particular religion over another. Because after all, I think there are all sorts of settings in America around the world where it doesn't work out well for anyone, including Christians, Jews, Muslims, people of no particular religion whatsoever, if the government can endorse whatever is the majority religion there. There should be no endorsement. So I guess I'm agreeing with basic Supreme Court law, but I'll go as far as to say that I would construe broadly with great concern anything that could reasonably be construed as endorsement. There's some blurry line there I'll get, but I would strongly support the right to express yourself religiously. There is no ability of anyone in any school to treat religion any worse than any other expression.
Theresa, who from your side?
Yeah. So Mr. Moss has laid that out pretty clearly. That's the basic constitutional law and student free speech in the public schools, and we're in agreement on that. So I would just like to add briefly, we still need to be sensitive and considerate about the religious and free speech issues in the public schools, especially where there's a strong majority. So, for instance, some of my Jewish friends have commented that at times they've felt disrespected if Yom Kippur's not honored, some of their religious practices. I think some of our Muslim friends probably feel the same way with some of their practices. And so as we advocate for free speech and religion for our kids in the public school, let's remember all of the kids and whether their rights are also being honored, and just make sure that we're really having that diverse environment where everyone's getting honored. And that's really all I've got to say on that.
And we have some extra time on your side. Alex, do you have anything to add to that?
Oh, thank you. A couple of people are here that have helped me write some of the books that I've been privileged to write, one of which is a book called Stand Strong in College. During the writing of this book, I interviewed 4 college professors across about 22 states, and I interviewed about 243 college students. And over, college professors at public universities like UNC Chapel Hill and University of San Diego and Texas A&M, they would nervously look at me and they would say, look, I can't talk on campus, but meet me at Starbucks. It's position in the department, it's tenure, it's grant money. I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, but I dare not say that on campus. And in several other books we've written, we've talked to students that were marginalized because they wrote papers that dealt with things like the history of Christianity or the impact of Christianity in the Western world. And they have been docked by even quoting people like Pulitzer nominee Rodney Stark, who's been an advocate for teaching about the history and the impact of Christianity. So I would say this: selective tolerance is intolerance. On 2 occasions, I have been disinvited from universities to speak, and it's not that big of a deal. I do a lot of speaking. My point is, though, while every manner of belief system you can think of is allowed to have a voice in the public school and at public universities, very often clubs that happen to be Christian, that have gone through all of the proper channels, are not allowed to have evangelical speakers, or at least not allowed to have certain types of voices. And the educational system, we call it a university, but because of the curtailing of our religious freedoms, it's become a monoversity. And this is not good.
We'll call that time.